Hey friends, JB here with the 14-day challenge, 14-day wisdom challenge. Let me ask you this, which day are you on? Have you completed all 14 days? If so, congratulations. Yesterday's episode is guiding you into the next step, what you need to do, okay? We have a few of those steps here. Let me see. But essentially, we are going to create a second tutorial for those who have exited the 14-day challenge. Looking forward to hear your comments on the channel. Post what you know, post what you've gotten out of it, post what you are being blessed with in your new thinking and the way you are approaching life. And I tell you what, you are going to keep this momentum going, and it's going to snowball into something big and beautiful. Now today we've got the birth of John the Baptist foretold. John the Baptist, another one of the wise men of the Old Testament. Old Testament, possibly because why? He was actually recorded. His doings are being recorded and started before really the ministry of Jesus started. Okay, although he has a presence in the New Testament, most of his work was being done prior to the New Testament. And this is the one that Jesus himself, the wisest of the wise, has come and said John was the greatest of the prophets. And that's something. But don't take my word for it. Let's pour in. We've got a big chunk, and we are in, where are we in here? We are in Luke 1, chapter 5. And that's where we're starting. We're going all the way to close to the end. Big reading, so let's get to it. In the days of Herod, king of Judea, there was a priest named Zechariah of the division of Abijah. Okay, some of these, tell you what, some of these words, names particularly that you read, Abijah. Okay, that's basically how we're going to say that. It takes me about 3 or 4 times to nail it. Abijah. Okay, Abijah is tough to pronounce. Now, you're going to get a lot of those. I would encourage you to slow down and pronounce them out. Okay, you're going to get a sense of what it is. Is it Abijah or is it Abijah or what? You're going to get a feeling of what it is if you keep with it. The more you do it, the easier it gets. My goal one day is to be able to kind of more seamlessly read through the books like Numbers and Chronicles, where they come up with hundreds of names in order, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm having trouble just trying to pronounce each one, and how do I go ahead and do it? Yeah, but now one day I'm going to be reading it more fluently and getting more out of it, okay? Sometimes when you've got some problems, you've got to slow down and understand where it is that it's slowing you down at, and try to master that, try to lick it, okay? Even sometimes your weaknesses are not things you want to try to improve, but if it's so weak that it's causing you harm, if it's working against you, my friends, that's a place where you want to strengthen. Don't go trying to strengthen your weak areas just because, but if it's preventing or causing you pain or detriment to you, then you want to go and work through it. Now let's keep going. And he had a wife from the daughters of Aaron, and her name was Elizabeth, and they were both righteous before God. Wow, can you imagine being righteous before God? Wow, that's pretty nice. That's pretty nice to be called out like that. Walking blamelessly in all the commandments and statutes of the Lord. Wow, blamelessly in all the commandments and statutes of the Lord. That's pretty big. That means these guys are of God. They're following God's rule. They're avoiding sin, sounds like. But they had no child because Elizabeth was barren, and both were advanced in years. So they had grown old. In their age, they had done really well to follow the Lord. And now they're getting to that time where it's like, you know, what are we going to do here? You know, when it comes to the baby, are we going to have one or what, Lord? Now, when he was serving as a priest before God, serving as a priest, that's pretty decent. That's pretty important. When his division was on duty, now they all took shifts, right? They had their different chores and responsibilities. According to the custom of the priesthood, he was chosen by lot to enter the temple of the Lord and burn incense. Just to burn incense by lot. That's chance. We don't know if they're rolling dice, but let's just pretend they were rolling dice. So they rolled dice, and he was the one to burn the incense. Pretty important spot. And the whole multitude of the people were praying outside at the hour of incense. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the man going and burning incense would go put the incense on and light it up. and then back out of there. And I'm not sure what his responsibilities were, but I think he was sort of alone while he was in there. And there appeared to him an angel of the Lord standing on the right side of the altar of incense. And Zechariah was troubled when he saw him. Let me tell you from experience, okay, when you see an angel of the Lord, you will be troubled, okay? You will be troubled. You will be a little bit shocked. You will be a little bit stunned. You will sit in awe and in fear of the Lord, because you know that when that angel represents something even greater, that it will trivialize your power and your influence, your sense of vanity in this world. Let me share with you that, okay? Got news for you. So this dude Zechariah was troubled when he saw him, and fear fell upon him, just like I had said. But the angel said to him, "Do not be afraid, Zechariah, for your prayer has been answered, and your wife Elizabeth will bear you a son, and you shall call his name John." Now, John wouldn't be normal in his instance, because he's Zechariah. His lineage in the recent past didn't have John, and so it was a little bit odd, but it showed his obedience by sticking to this. Here we'll share a little bit more. "And you will have joy and gladness, and many will rejoice at his birth." Ooh, can you imagine? And that just reciprocates the fact that they were up in age, that this extra rejoice, greater than it seems like normal, because he's pointed out, one, he's the angel pointed out. That's number two, actually. "For he will be great before the Lord." Wow. So he's already a godly man. He's saying that your son is going to be great. That's big news, isn't it? "And he must not drink wine or strong drink." So this guy is not going to be drinking wine or strong drink. "And he will be filled with the Holy Spirit, even from his mother's womb." Okay. So he seems to contrast that even from his mother's womb, that this babe will be filled with the Holy Spirit. Now that sort of seems to bring a connotation that the Holy Spirit comes after birth, because it points out, it sort of separates, differentiates even from his mother's womb, in contrast to other people when they would receive the Holy Spirit. "And he will turn many of the children of Israel, to the Lord their God." So he is an evangelist of sorts, and he's bringing people back into the fold, just like the men of Nineveh that we were talking about. Was that yesterday or the day before? And John is doing this in Jerusalem. Wow. Because why? There is so much corruption. There is so much fallenness and drifting away from God and his intent and the purpose of the laws. So, and he will go before him in the spirit and power of Elijah, okay? Elijah was after. The way I know about one of the two is that Elijah comes first in the alphabet. Elisha with the S comes second. And Elijah did some kicking back in the day. He wasn't afraid to shout out. He's a prophet. You know what prophets do? What's funny is because prophets tell the truth and tell it to such a degree, regardless of their own personal safety and health, and that it will even go to try to discredit them. It will go to even people will try to persecute them, and it will go to basically shore up what God's saying. It's they're a voice piece for God, is what these prophets are to the tarts. Okay, and he will go before him in the spirit and power of Elijah, okay? Now there's a reference back to other parts in the Bible. We're marching forward. Now you can go and you want to do a little extra, you got a little extra credit, you want to get a little extra credit. What's extra credit? When it comes to wisdom, that means extra wisdom, friends. So if you want to start looking, here's a good spot to look up, get your extra credit, get your extra wisdom, is get in this particular verse, see where it leads you. I got news for you. Special places, okay? Special places, more wisdom. "To turn the hearts of the fathers to the children, and the disobedient to the wisdom of the just." Ooh, that's our wisdom. This is the golden nugget, huh? This is the golden nugget. We're going to do that. Boom. We've got that. We've got locked and loaded here. Boom. Okay, now we share that out. Boom. Boom. That's how we roll. That's how we roll. Let's just give the gold nuggets to the world here, huh? Let's do that. Boom. Okay. And Zechariah said to the angel, how shall I know this? So he's questioning it. He's questioning it. Now, interestingly, Zechariah says, how shall I know this? For I'm an old man and my wife is advanced in years. Now, Zechariah is the man and he gets word from the angel. The angel answered him, I am Gabriel and stand in the presence of God. And I was sent to speak to you and to bring you this good news. And behold, you will be silent and unable to speak until the day that these things take place, because you did not believe my words, which will be fulfilled in their time. And we know, when I get out of this is that while there's a lot to unpack right here, it brings me back to Mary when she was shared with the angel. I'd been same angel. I think it was the same angel who shared with Mary that, guess what? You're going to be pregnant and you're going to carry the Son of God. She said, be it as you say, but how can it, since I didn't know a man? Now, she questioned him too. He questioned him. She questioned him. Guess what? Okay. He questioned the angel and he was silenced. Now, it seems like the man has a greater expectations to follow more obediently, in fact, possibly, okay? Now, Mary wasn't silenced for the duration of her pregnancy. Although in some ways, because of the stigma of being pregnant, not yet married, having a baby, showing pregnancy, there was a certain isolation that she faced, different than anyone else. So maybe she did get that. The Lord has mercy and sovereign is grace. We don't understand that. Maybe we'll get back into that in the future. And the people were waiting for Zechariah, and they were wondering at his delay in the temple. And when he came out, he was unable to speak to them. And they realized that he had seen a vision in the temple. You know, they just know. He come out of the temple, signs everywhere, just saw the angel. Who was it? Gabriel. He just saw Gabriel. Gabriel just was right in front of him. Gabriel, who stood in the presence of the Lord, shining, glowing, powerful angel. The presence of God he's experiencing a fraction of it, but he's experiencing this power, and he comes out. Let me tell you this. You will know when you see someone who has just had this experience. They will come out with such an aura of knowing and certainty and awestruck fear, possibly, that you will sense something has happened. He has seen a vision. Okay? He has seen a vision in the temple, and he kept making signs to them and remained mute. And when his time of service was ended, he went to his home. He had more time to serve, and people are trying to ask him what's going on, and he's pointing and trying to maybe write down what happened, and people are trying to ask him. He's slowing it down, and then he finishes off his service. He doesn't go run. He does his due diligence, then goes home. Wow. After these days, his wife Elizabeth conceived, and for 5 months she kept herself hidden, saying, "Thus the Lord has done for me in the days when he looked on me, to take away my reproach among people." Wow. Hid herself, saying, "Thus the Lord has done for me in the days when he looked on me, to take away my reproach among people." There was a day where she felt the Lord looked upon her and made a sort of a put in her heart that she would have a child. And then days passed. She had to just endure, keep the faith. Never had a son or daughter. And then now she was, through that time, she was looked upon as something wrong, inadequate, possibly not taking care of herself. She's sinned. There's probably so many things they pointed to her to try to justify what the rationale was, why the Lord never did bless her in that way. Well, look what? To take away my reproach among people. She felt reproach. People would talk about their children. She would sit there and laugh and try to indulge them to listen to the stories of her friends. And all that time, inward in her heart, she had questions and wondered why this was not a blessing unto her, why she had never, felt insecure, inferior, and lived that life in many ways for many years until this day come. And then now, guess what? The Lord blesses her. And that reproach has been lifted. And who, but for who? Just the second most important person in the Bible, possibly. Okay? Maybe we've got like a bunch of people, and you know what? They're all intertwined and dependent. But let's face it, Jesus just lifts this John the Baptist up as one of the greatest. Okay? Now, is he greater than Elijah? Is he greater than Moses? Is he greater than the first Adam? Okay? Hard to say, but we'll go with what Jesus said, the greatest. Okay? So the Lord has done to her the things that she had been asking for, had been longing for. My friend, there's wisdom in here. It's all pouring out, and the thing's pointing. You know what I love about wisdom? It points to the truth. It points to the truth, and it gives us strategies and tactics. What are the strategies that we're learning in here, huh? The Lord speaks, better listen. That's one thing, right? We've got the pointing of the truth. We've got the start of the story. Okay? We've got this beautiful, beautiful passage, this reading here, this wisdom reading, and it just talks about so much. We could get in there for so long and do so much work in unpacking this. I would encourage you to do that. I would encourage you to get into this particular verse, Luke 1, and start to unpack this sucker until you get a sense of where are all these historical reference points from the Old Testament coming into play. What's going on? What happened? What was Elijah? What was that spirit of Elijah? How is it relevant? What did he do? Where was he going? What did Elijah, Elijah and Elijah, both. You've got so much to unpack here, my friends. And it's just up to you. You can get the extra credit. It's jumping there out at you, or you can just not. You got to make a choice. And I understand you got time. You got time, only so little of it. And you're only going to get so far. How much are you going to get? But you're going to get a lot just by pouring in here each day. Today's was very special. I love how this starts to just pour into just so much of the Bible. We're keying in on wisdom. We haven't missed a mark yet, my friends, and we haven't even started. This is day, I believe, 15, or we're going into 16, something like that. My friends, I want you to keep on pouring into the Bible. I want to hear about what it's doing for you, about how this wisdom is making a difference in your life. How are you getting direction? How are you getting focus? Okay, what kind of new opportunities are coming for you? Are you shying away from them? Are you taking those risks? Is it wise for you to take risks? Okay, what about the world and how they frame things? Are you able to frame things in a truthful way, but yet making it make sense to the world? Okay, be wise about things. Be wise. Get insight. Get wisdom. Get insight. Get discretion. Get it. Get it now. Let's do this. Let's do it, brother. Yes.